Hello and welcome to the Cast, the Malaga fan podcast for all the Gearys out there. I'm Nick Bell, your host for this evening, and I'm joined once again by the wonderful Chris Marquez, live from the Costa del Sol. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I just noticed that my preparation wasn't very well, and my laptop is on low battery, so maybe not the best start.
We're having panic stations.
No, I think I'm fine.
We're all
Yeah,
good. We're all good. We're all professionals. Even the
yeah.
professionals get their low batteries from time to time, so I won't worry too much about that. Other than your battery life, Chris, on your laptop, how is your life battery? That's a nice little tangent, isn't it?
Shite,
Busy?
busy, busy. Still arranging a lot from my father passing away. Malaga not signing any players. Feyenoord losing 6-1 against Lille. Feyenoord losing 2-1 against Ajax, and probably the most devastating news of this whole week is that you have these players where when they play for your team, right?
Hmm.
And and they're good and you like them, and they turn a bit like it with throughout the seasons they turn in like your favorite player, and you have these players which always be like special to you. And when such a player leaves, it's horrible, and that happened with Santiago Jimenez.
Ah, yes, the Mexican. Did he go to Milan in the end? Was it?
Yes,
Yeah, Milan are cooking up something quite special there, though. To be fair, with the players that they've got in at the minute, so he's don't think of it as goodbye. Think of it as, what did the Germans say? Auf Wiedersehen. I'll see you
yeah.
again.
Oh yeah, that could be. But
I don't know. I can speak German.
I know a lot of other stuff the Germans said. So
Aye, it'll all be good. It'd be nice to see him as well. Doing well elsewhere. And obviously, we're talking about transfers, Chris. We're saying that it's not been the greatest start to 2025. Certainly not for Malaga. Still winless and also signingless. Just to jump straight headfirst into the news, it's going to be no surprise to anyone listening. This is being recorded the day after the transfer window slammed shut, and Malaga didn't have a single new face to show for their effort. Uh, Alberto Mari from Valencia was touted, but he decided to stay with Real Zaragoza instead. Chris, this is shit. It's embarrassing, isn't it?
it's really embarrassing. Malaga's the only club in Segunda División who didn't sign any player, and um, and the worst thing is you have a month. You are missing Dani Lorenzo till the end of the season. He will need a substitute. You said goodbye to Costel. You need a striker, and you need probably also, I don't know, another defender. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
I don't understand any of it. I think it's a money thing.
do you reckon?
Uh, Waiting till the last day of the transfer window is just ridiculous. And you can't tell me like if you would say like there is no one who is affordable and can make Malaga better. I think that is the biggest lie there is, because you can't tell me that there isn't any player, or there aren't any players who aren't good enough and affordable for Malaga from all over the world. You have South America, you have Holland, you have, I don't know. Premier League is impossible, but maybe you can take a Premier League player on loan, or a Championship player on loan. It, you have Belgium, you have Turkey, Sweden, Denmark, France.
Yeah,
I
the
just think
options are
ridiculous.
vast, aren't they? It,
You
it,
can't
it is silly,
there is
and
no logic. Do you believe that there is no player who can make Malaga better?
well, you've touched on it there that Malaga were the only club not to make a single signing, and just for a bit of fun for the people listening, I'll just rattle off some fun ones that we've had in the Segunda this month. So and this is what concerns me. It's the teams that you'll note that are around Malaga right now that
I've
have
got a whole list
seriously strengthened.
written down. A whole list.
Hmm. So you had Albacete signed 4 players, Almeria with the 1, Burgos with 8 new faces, Castellon with 6, Cadiz with 4, Cordoba, Sunset Bell went to Atletico Salagueño if you want a fun update on his career. Um, Ibar with 4, Elche with 4, including Pejino from Las Palmas, which is a great bit of business for them. El Dense with 9 players. Not only did they get rid of Godoy to Barca, which is a bit of a mad deal, but do you remember Sekou Gassama? He
Yeah,
signed
with
for El
Adense.
Dense now.
I have here. I have Cordoba, for example, signed 2 players coming over from Primera División. Pedro Ortiz from Seville and
Mhm.
Maguna Zelaya from Real Sociedad. They also have signed Del Moral, Ruben Alves, and Corbo. Deportivo La Coruña signed Diego Gomez, Gen Rao from Toulouse, and Nemanja Tosic from
No.
Zurich.
And it shows that there's different levels of players you can sign. Like, not everyone's going to be like Granada, for example, who went and spent €2.5 million on Stoichkov. But they did sell Uzini to, I think it was Austin in the MLS, won it for €12 million. So obviously they're reinvesting there. Julian Delmas was one of 8 signings for Cartagena. I'm just picking out the big ones now. Tenerife with 4 players signed.
Albacete
Ferro with
also
4
4.
players signed.
Castellon
So
has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they signed Mamadou Traore.
yeah,
Oh,
it is crap. It's embarrassing, and at a time when frankly speaking, we've turned the year into 2025. No wins so far, 3 losses on the bounce. We've been screaming out for a striker. It's poor from the club that they didn't have any form of plan B for Mari, or even just anyone to approach. But
and not even Nick. The thing is, not even to aspire for something more. If we are looking to January, and if we look through Malaga throughout the season, you know that if you draw so many matches, that it will happen that you'll fall a bit down, that the motivation goes, which is
mhm.
normal because Malaga only won 6 matches, which means they lost 6 and they draw 5. That doesn't keep your motivation up, does it? So I'm not saying like Malaga. That we needed this players, these signings for to hope or to be aiming for something higher. You needed these players to put yourself in a position that you don't get in the relegation zone.
Absolutely, and it breeds complacency in strikers and other players as well. Sometimes Rocco and Dione are probably looking at this now, thinking, apart from Chipete, there's no other competition for me, so I don't need to work as hard, which is
I
sad.
think it's unexplainable. I really think it is, and um, maybe think but because tomorrow Loren Juarez will have a how do you call it, a press conference to explain why Malaga didn't sign anything or about this transfer window of the club, and I just won't buy it. I think, and I'm sorry for saying I won't buy the fact that the club didn't sign anyone, and I think it's remarkable that Jose Maria Munoz a month ago or a bit longer, I don't know, remember when precisely, asked for a higher wage,
Yeah, that's a
and
big
that is possible,
yeah, because there's
and
money
not
coming in.
signing a player. It's just, I mean, there money coming in throughout the seasons, and I don't know where that money goes. I understand that
Mhm.
maintaining a football club and taking care of a football club, well, costs money, But you can't tell me that Eldense is able to sign players. Cordoba is able to sign two players from Primera División, and Malaga isn't.
Well, that's it. Even if you have them on loan, you've released budget by not to jump to the next bit, but obviously moving Castell on. We're well known now for having all these different nuanced sell-on clauses where we're getting money back from players like even Jaime, Ricardo Horta. We sold Calvo, Christian, Roberto. It's got to be going somewhere. It can't all be going in just to paying the wages of
And
players, because that's not right. Because we've not spent any money on a single player in
and
6
it's
seasons.
yeah, and the thing is as well, um, the transfer window is a month, but as we all know, that technical directors are not saying, "Oh, today it starts. Let me search for signings." It's something that you go throughout the season. So people are planning this for months.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 3 months to notice what Malaga needed in this transfer window, and nothing.
Yeah, a damp squib, I think is what they say. Yeah, not good from Malaga at all, and I imagine it won't be the last we hear of it. We'll dial into Laron Juarez's press conference tomorrow with keen ears. Obviously, one player that they did want to get rid of, maybe rather foolishly now, was as we've mentioned, Sergio Castell. Hasn't really lit up the pitch for Malaga, but he's not going too far, Chris. He's just going down the coast. He's heading to Marbella to join Musa. That's not a bad little move for him, really, is it? Just dropping down one level, doesn't have to move. He's got that wrapped up quite nice, hasn't he?
I think that knowing what we know today, this morning, what we knew yesterday at 12 o'clock Spanish time, would you get rid of Costel?
Absolutely not. We are now 24 hours later weaker than we were a day ago,
Yeah.
and that's just not even that he was an integral cog in the machine. He's just another body you can count on that can score goals that you have lost. So, yeah, it's naive to think that we could let him go without bringing in a replacement before cancelling his contract. But it was well known that they wanted him out the door for a few weeks as well. It goes back to that planning thing you talk about, Chris, where we're saying, well, if you wanted to get rid of Castell, why wasn't he out the door in the middle of January? Why wasn't he out the door at the beginning of January? Why have we
If
left it to the last day with no plan B?
if you want to be a professional football club, then you have to start acting like a professional football club on
Mm.
your signing levels. And I think that's the biggest problem for Malaga over the past few seasons, where last season in the summer we did quite well, we can say. But it was also not a team that would bring you up back to Segunda directly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a bit of a poor sign, a bit of a poor transfer period if you look to rivals in Segunda Bay.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense to me. I love Malaga Football Club. I understand a lot of the things they do, but this is their signings are just unexplainable.
Bizarre, isn't it? It's bizarre, but yeah, obviously that window's now shut. You can go and sign free transfers, obviously outside of the window, but it's been a while since we did that. I think the last time we did that was it Antonio Lopez or Alberto Lopez?
Yeah, Alberto Lopez, I
Someone
think.
a few years ago, and then he played like 15 minutes and then got injured and
Or
then.
Aaron. I remember Aaron who ended up not playing for Malaga
Very strange.
because
I
of an
suppose
injury.
just to lift the spirits back up, Chris, because we are happy people on this podcast. We have some big breaking news coming out of the club this evening. Uh, 2 new contracts being signed. They are extensions, both for goalkeepers. One being for the young man Carlos Lopez, who signed a contract extension to 2029, obviously held in very high regard in the corridors of power at La Rosaleda. Big one for the future. But I suppose the bigger news on this announcement is the extension to the one and only San Alfonso Herrero. He has signed the contract extension 2 years long on top of his current deal until 2028. This is at least some good news, isn't it, Chris, that we're keeping these two
It
lads at the
is
club?
very good news. And the only thing I don't understand why the club has waited so long with this. And I think that's also a mistake. Because if they didn't sign him, he could easily walk out the door for free. But Don Alfonso Herrero fell in love with Malaga, fell in love with the club, and fell in love with the city and the people. And that is what makes him stay.
Absolutely. I think when you've bounced around as much as he has and you find your perfect home, it's hard to say no to leaving, isn't it? And he's so well loved at the club and so well high regarded, and he's
So
clearly one of the best
very,
keepers in the
very
league.
good news. And Carlos Lopez as well. The guy deserves it. He's an
Yeah,
amazing youngster with a great future ahead of him. And I think it's good
2029
that
as well.
he can learn from the best, from Don Alfonso Herrero. But I also think bringing this news now, maybe try to cover up the mistakes. It feels a bit. I am happy about it, but I have mixed feelings about the moment.
Yeah, it's hard to lift you up when you're feeling quite low. So would it have been better to have announced this at a different time, maybe towards the game of the weekend, maybe, or something like that? But it's good news all around. Alfonso Herrero being,
Very
in
good.
the blue and white for the next at least 3 years is more than good enough news for me. And he's coming into his prime as well. I don't think we've even seen the best of Alfonso Herrera because, as we know, goalkeepers tend to get better with age. They're like a fine wine. So more to come from our saint as we go through
Who
there.
who do you think this whole transfer period? Who is who can which person can we blame? Should we blame Loren Juarez or should we blame Jose Maria Munoz? Because that seems to be the big discussion.
I think ultimately on the transfer front, it is Lauren Juarez's job to identify and bring in options, but I can't remember there being as quiet as a January for Malaga in a while. Even going back to last year when we only brought in, I think it was Puga and David Ferrero. We've signed two players last January. Are his hands tied, though? The same way that Sergio Pereira's hands are tied, is Florent Juarez being, told
I
that there's
think so.
no money?
I think there is that no money thing.
Mm. I think there's money because obviously the
There is
club is
money.
solvent.
I don't think Jose
Mm.
Maria Munoz is willing to spend money.
But ultimately, his job was to come in as a court appointed official to balance the books, and the books probably are
Our
balanced.
balance. But I think now also, and he's done a very good job, but I also think now is the time that he has to step away or the judge has have to remove him from his position, and it's time for people with a bit of football mind and experience. I think it's time for another person to step in now. It can be Kike Perez, who I think is doing a wonderful job,
Mm.
but I think this will bring the club back closer to Segunda B.
Yeah, I think on that front, at the moment the club is just treading water. It's got nothing to aim for. There is no. I think it was Tony who said to us the other day, there is no project, there is no ambition for Malaga to do anything apart from exist at the moment because ultimately you need funds and you need ambition to go do that, but there is no one currently in charge of the club that can do that because whether we like it or not, the club is still owned by a certain sheikh who resides in Qatar, who seemingly has an ambition to put himself back in charge again. We'll see how that pans out. But as until a time that a decision is made on what happens with the ownership of the club, we won't be going anywhere. And like you say, there's no eagerness to spend money because ultimately, if you spend money, you're risking the house, and it could all come from underneath you. And that's what Jose
Yeah,
Maria
but I don't
doesn't want.
totally agree with that because if you
Mm.
go down to Primera RFF again, what is the chance to get promoted again in the season after. I mean, that's a very
Oh,
little chance, isn't
very
it?
slim, very slim.
So, in order to stay up, you have to spend money. It costs money to create something.
Mm.
Everybody wants to be rich, but nobody wants to spend a penny, right?
No, you want it to be sustainable. That's probably the best word to look
Yeah.
forward to it.
So if you
At
if
the
you
minute,
want to grow, then you need a project, but you cannot build a project around
mm,
Chupete, who, if he was good enough or if he was ready for it, he would be playing with the first team already.
well, he's going to have to either be used or step up massively, and to the detriment of like Atletico Malagueño, because, like you say, we have a vacancy in that striking department. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with going forward. Just to round up the news there for us, Chris, and just to bring you some latest results from other teams within the Malaga umbrella, it was business as usual for Atletico Malagueño. They got back to winning ways as they beat third place Huerta Vega with goals from Juanma and Eva Beneto. Beneto also got sent off in that game, so that's probably not the best afternoon for him. Chupete did play in that game, so again, this balance of being available for both teams at the minute. And Malaga Femenino picked up a point in their first game back in 2025, drawing with third place Tenerife Serbe, and they currently remain 8th in the league at the
Yeah, they're
moment.
not having the best season.
No, it seems like Atletico Malagueño is the team that is flying the flag in terms of success for the club at the moment. But let's get ourselves into a review of this weekend's game. Chris, we travel to the league leaders, Jose Alberto Lopez's Racing Club de Santander. Starting 11 wise, there was 3 changes from the team that lost to Real Zaragoza. Ramon came in to replace Luismi, who's obviously injured. Joaquin in for Puga and Victor in for Sanchez. Were you happy with those changes? Were they expected? What would you like to have
Happy,
seen?
happy and not happy. And why? With the changes, they make total sense. But I don't understand how joking is still on the pitch. I think that's a bit of a joke.
I'm very much in the Puga camp at the moment. I think he's shown time and time again that he deserves to have a starting place cemented and being one of those first names on the team sheet, much like Luis Miura and Molina was. It is strange that he keeps swapping these fullbacks. The same with Victor and Danny Sanchez, and maybe not to go too far back to the January transfer window stuff, but we are without a decent left back for this level, in my opinion. I think Danny Sanchez has done well and stepped up, but I don't think it's the best we have to offer. And Victor, in my opinion, just seems lost at Segunda level. So again, this constant rotation of those two doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
But it
Uh,
doesn't also even make them better.
no, exactly. You haven't got time to embed yourself and get a run of games, do you? I think the Luismi change is obviously the one we were all interested in. There was a lot of people mentioning whether it was time for Eze Moreno to come in and step up. Ramon is the one who came in, took the captain's armband off Alfonso Herrera as well, which I thought was interesting. It's good to see him back on the pitch from the start, isn't it? It's probably what we need to focus on.
It's good to see him start back from the start. I directly saw a difference with Luismi, and that is that it seems like Malaga is creating more or getting more dangerous. There's more creativity on the midfield, and that's something.
Mhm.
Luismi is very defensive and isn't the player that will give you that extra spark on the midfield. And I think Ramon showed it perfectly that he can bring that extra spark, or he's that extra spark.
Yeah, there seemed to be definitely a lot more play threaded straight through the middle of in this game. I saw 2 Labette and 2 Dione into feet, and you really wanted to keep it from going out wide in El Sadinero, which was absolutely bouncing. By the way, I must say, like we admire La Rosaleda for the atmosphere that we get. There's a lot of stadiums around Spain that can generate a lot of noise, but in this game from the start, El Sadinero was absolutely jumping up until the 6th minute, Chris, because obviously we get the perfect start. Dione with a nice bit of footwork to pull away 2 defenders from Lebete. He's kind of got the run of the whole place and puts in an absolute peach into the top corner, leaving the goalkeeper scrambling. This was a brilliant goal, wasn't it?
And this is the type of goals that you want to see more, but you never really see it at Malaga.
Yeah. Well, we never. I think I can only really look at maybe Kevin's goal against Ferrol. Maybe it's something about going to the north coast of Spain, Chris, just makes us want to have a shot from distance, have a bit of a oof about it, but take nothing away from Lebete, because he wasn't really put under loads of pressure, but you've still got to be technically gifted to leave it, yeah.
And to put it in the corner from that distance.
Yeah, well, he left Esquieta absolutely scrambling, and he's not a goalkeeper that is poor at this level. He's been really good for Santander this season, and he made him look a bit silly, really. So, yeah, the perfect start, if we're being perfectly honest, but it wasn't to last. Unfortunately, Santander do what Santander will do. A goal from a corner again, Chris. It seems to be a bit of an Achilles heel for us this season. Arana getting on the end of a Martin corner. I don't really know what happened here. It didn't really look like it was much of a header, if I'm being perfectly honest. It was just a bit of a glance at the first post, and it's dropped through a crowd of people. Also beating Herrero, who is just cemented to the ground. We should be better at not conceding goals like this, shouldn't we?
Yeah, but it just happens too much. And I want to say these things happen, but I also think you have to train these standard situations when you concede so many of them throughout the season.
We seem to have a problem with big lanky strikers at the moment, like big tall striking. Panicelli from Mirandés gave us the same sort of as problems as Arana did as well. But you kind of know it's going to come from Santander. You must watch the games, and you must know that Andres Martin is an assist king, and Arana loves to get his head onto the end of a cross or a corner. You must prep for that on the training ground, surely.
If you look it back, then you see like all these. It looks like a mess. Malaga isn't really positioned. You know what I mean?
It's really crowded, isn't it? And he just seems to get his run on his man. I think it was Nelson Monte, who again we praise for being a brilliant defender, but when you've got Pastor in there, who's maybe got just a couple of inches on Monte, who should really be marking who there? But it was a lead that only lasted just shy of 10 minutes. It was 1-1, like you say. It got back to being bouncing there. A simple header scored. We then go to the other end. Antonito, I think it was, who puts the goal away, but he's pulled back for offside. I think we can agree that was the correct decision, wasn't it?
I don't know which of the two. Is that where the where Stoniel or was that the other one?
That's the second one with Lebete, which will come up interesting. This was in the first half. It was some lovely interplay between, I think it was Joaquin and Ramon, just to loop it into Antonito, but he kind of he was clear. In my opinion, he was clearly offside. He just went a little bit too early, but nothing away from the pitch.
Was clearly offside, yes.
Yeah. So we get closer to half time, Chris. Do you know what the 2nd of February is in America? May I ask? What they have a special day on the 2nd of February.
The 2nd of February. I have no. Is there a special day?
There is, and I'll put you out your misery.
I know there is Thanksgiving. Yep. I know you have Black Friday. You have what is it? The technology. You have a Monday, Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
You have Christmas, Halloween.
It definitely wasn't Christmas or Halloween.
Easter, Blue Monday.
Not Blue Monday. I'll put you out your misery. It was Groundhog Day. So Groundhog Day is, if you've ever seen the film Groundhog Day, it's basically everything repeats itself, which is where this lovely tangent was going. it felt like Groundhog Day for Malaga because it was a carbon copy of the first goal they conceded, is how they conceded the second goal as well.
Yes.
Another corner from Martin, another glancing head at the near post from Arana. And just before half time, Malaga are 2-1 down. I suppose we could do the same thing and say exactly what we said 2 minutes ago in regards to the first goal, Chris. We are shit at corners at the moment.
Yes, we are, and I think that's a problem that exists. I think it's up to Pellicer to come with a plan. Maybe because it's easy when you know who's playing, who your rival is. You can say you get that one, you get that one. You can prepare, practice those things. Come up with a strange idea. I know that Feyenoord sucked really much at corners. So what they did, they came with Arne Slot came with the idea of playing all in one line, and I think I don't know how they did it. I can't really remember, but do something about it.
Well, that's it, and I'm just trying to think back to the game and the replays that I've watched on things like that. When you've got a player who you know is going to go for a near post header every single time because we've seen him do it literally 10 minutes ago. You usually stick a man on your back post. I'm just trying to think. I just don't think there was one there. There's been an over reliance on Alfonso Herrero to bring out the spectacular and save. But even in these two goals, he was just rooted to his goal line. But that's where I would have, say, someone like Danny Sanchez or Ramon, a smaller player who isn't going to be much of an aerial threat in defending a corner.
We'll get
Stick
that
him in the
ball
back
out.
post.
Yeah.
So, um, so
Or
we
even
obviously.
striker, if you're really, maybe you can put Dioni in that position. I know
Oh,
it's up,
absolutely.
but I know you want
Yeah.
Dioni up top. But if you concede so many goals from corners, well, put someone there. It's better to not be able to counter very quick after corner. I think it's
Mhm.
more important to not concede a goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, again, another simple near post header and Monte losing his man at that one. Then we get to half time, Chris. So first half, I think was obviously quite an end to end affair. It was really quite. Result aside, I thought it was actually quite a good first half from both teams. They really wanted to go for it and actually produced a great bit of football for the neutral. Just a bit shit that we were 2-1 down.
Malaga didn't deserve to go down to halftime with being behind.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree with that. I think it wasn't really the reward that we did deserved, and it felt like a bit of a sucker punch, especially like to say to have it go in from the same way the first goal goes in. But it wasn't long into the second half that Malaga thought they got themselves back level. This is the toenail incident, Chris. Lebete preying on the shoulder of his last man. Does really, really well, really, really quickly to get in front of the goalkeeper and just slots it past the keeper at his near post, or his far post, sorry. Uh, Called back by VAR, said, "You are offside, Mr. Lebete."
Yeah,
Was he offside?
I think it's ridiculous.
It's so close, isn't it?
I saw a line and you just don't see it. You can't see it.
No, it's a purple line. That's exactly what it is. Your blue show where the defender is, your red show where the attacker is. It's blended in together. But I was looking at this, and obviously they've pulled it back and drawn a line against the left back, who I think was either Sal Garcia or Montero. I don't think that's the player that we should be showing the line against. If you look at Castro, the number 5 for Santander, he's kind of leaning backwards, like he's at an angle, like he's like a forward slash on there. And if he was to draw the line from his head, and this is my conspiracy theory, tin hat on, draw the line from his head, I think that is the furthest back, which is ridiculous in itself because he's gaining no advantage from having the back of his head offside. But in the
But
same way that Lebete's get no advantage from being
but,
a
but
toenail
do
onside.
you think it makes any sense that we are looking at toenails for offside? I think I literally do. This game get this game gets uglier by the moment.
Mm.
I think it's crazy.
It really,
really think it's ridiculous.
because we've got automatic offsides as well now, but you've got to have a tolerance in there, haven't you? That Lebete is getting no advantage from being literally bloody thimbles width offside. He's not halfway to goal by then. He's just got an early start on his man. It's the letter of the
Well,
law. Yes,
there are
he is offside, but
these
it's
things
so
in
stupid.
football. I just don't understand them. It's the same like when it's offside. It is offside, and the player they continue, and it gets to a shot, and after 3 minutes, and the attack doesn't stop. So another shot, a rebound, another shot, and then when it's over, he pulls out the flag. What is that nonsense of waiting with putting your flag up? It doesn't. It only costs time. It makes no sense.
It's
It
like
doesn't make the game. It doesn't make the game faster.
no, I don't even think I saw the linesman. And in that scenario, that if the linesman hasn't seen it, then I get the
Yeah, no,
VAR.
but this is just in general, this football in
Mm,
general, because
yeah,
the
yeah,
linesman didn't do anything. But it doesn't make any sense to me. Not at
no,
all.
very very stupid. Obviously, very unlucky for Malaga because it was a great goal as well, and some great work from Labetti, who had a wonderful time in this game. Malaga kept knocking on the door throughout this game in the second half as well. Santander not really showing too much. I think there was one shot from Vicente, which forced a save out of Alfonso Herrero. They only got an excellent save out of Ezquieta as well, with some wonderful footwork pivoting in the 18-yard box. But I'm going to
Okay.
jump forward to the 87th minute, Chris. Kevin's on the pitch now. He's replaced, I think it was Antonito, he came on for. He's through one-on-one. The goalkeeper's rushed out to him. He's about 18 yards outside of his box. At his 18-yard box. Kevin's got two options here. He either bends it round the goalkeeper, chips the goalkeeper, and puts it in the back of the net, or he squares it to Romani, who's also with him, and Malaga had the equaliser in the last few minutes. This is a big miss for Malaga, isn't it, in the final moments of the game?
Um, I still don't understand it yet. It probably Kevin is Kevin. He goes for the goal, but if you're not sure and you're behind in Santander against the number one, I think the best thing you can do is just pass it to Romani. And I know it's split second work, but yeah, I think it's a mistake from Kevin.
It is, in it, it's got all the hallmarks of I'm going to make a name for myself here.
Yeah.
Even thinking about it, the way he's hit it at the goalkeeper, the goalkeeper's already going down low. He's already committed to being down low. So why wouldn't you, as an attacker, as a striker, as someone who we have already seen this season score an absolute worldie, you just have to lift it, just get it off the ground, and no one's going to catch it because the defenders were so far behind. But even better was the option of Romani. Square the ball to him, and he's got a
I
simple
think
tackle. We've got a
I
point.
think that this shows a bit how Kevin is in general.
Mm.
That that's how I see him. That he think he thinks that he is more important than the team sometimes.
I see that a little bit
He's more
because
selfish, and I don't
there's a
say a lot,
selfish.
but you see the selfishness in him
Mm.
many times.
I think that the thing that went wrong from here is that he's too eager to do things too quickly. He doesn't often
Maybe
take the time to think about what's actually the best option. It's kind of like a bit of a fluster to go, oh, I'm just going to shoot, and
and
then he's not made the correct
but
option.
that's the thing that he always does. He always shoots,
Mm.
and it might go to the corner flag, or it might go over target or on target. But I think that is exactly his problem, that he misses that intelligence of a
Mm.
football player, of a good, very good football player, because he is a good football player, but he not a top player. I think he misses that intelligence a bit.
It's just that final ball for Kevin for me.
Yeah.
I think that you're absolutely right there. But And obviously the game pulls on out there. The final whistle goes. It's 3 losses on the bounce for Malaga, no wins in 2025. Did we deserve to lose this, or did we actually surrender the points here a bit and by not taking our chances or being marginally offside? Were we done in by the VAR? What were your
I think
thoughts on the whole game?
we've also been unlucky this time.
Yeah.
I think that most of all.
I
I
think we definitely deserved a point out of this one. I
more.
think.
I would say I could easily say we deserve the win.
Very similar to the Mirandes game. It wasn't a game where we deserved to lose or played like we were going to lose. So sometimes I don't think we were going to win either, but I think we did enough to come away from there with a point, which is obviously the story of our season. But that's probably what's going to start concerning me more, Chris. As I've mentioned, we've just had Groundhog Day. This time last season, we went on a bit of a bad start to the year. This is now no wins in 2025. We're on the 2nd of February, 3rd of February. 15th in the league, I think it is. 15th, 14th. Let me just double check. 15th in the league, only 7 points above the relegation zone. As we mentioned at the top end of the podcast, Eldense is strengthening, Burgos is strengthening, Castellón is strengthening, Tenerife are strengthening, Ferrol. You're now looking over your shoulder again, aren't you?
Yep, and I think Malaga could have prevented this with good transfers, but I think it will be a struggle till the last day of the season. And that's my honest opinion. I because you can't tell me that if any Malaga player went from Racing Santander and thought, well, we deserve more, but maybe next time. I mean, that happens too much times. It will bring you down eventually.
And it doesn't get any easier for Malaga either, does it? With Levante, the next team to visit La Rosa later at the weekend.
So they need to be at 4 points.
It could well be. It could well be. I'm just looking at their fixtures now. In terms of the people that are behind us, Ferrol and Castellón play each other. You look at Eldense away at Oviedo, Burgos at home to Racing. So we might have a reprieve that they're playing some pretty decent teams. But yeah, it is starting to worry me a little bit now that we haven't won in this calendar year and we are into the second month. But anyway,
how the other teams come from start now with all their new transfers. Maybe
absolutely.
They get in for. Maybe things change for them.
We never know. We've seen turnarounds before. The season that we almost got relegated. Amor Bieta and teams of that nature went on a massive run. And yeah, again, to reiterate, and I think what might be the name of the podcast today, Chris, is Groundhog Day. I think it's probably a good candidate, and maybe a picture of Sergio Pacer dressed as Bill Murray might be quite fun. Let me trouble you for your chumbo, Chris, as we wrap up this episode. Who are you going for?
I'm going with Joaquin Gabilondo.
Joaquin Gabilondo. Any particular reason? Was he was poor in this game, wasn't he?
He was poor. Just that, no. Didn't think
he was going to be one of my dishonourable mentions in this match, alongside Victor as well. I don't think he did too much to cover himself in glory. But I'm actually going to go with Nelson Monte for this chumbo for myself. His role in the 2 goals we conceded, I could kind of maybe forgive the first one because obviously you're feeling your opponent out. But if someone's done it to you once, to do it to you again only 15 minutes later is a bit stupid. What's the saying? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. In that scenario, so I'll ask you for your Biznaga, Chris. Have you got one for this match?
There can only be one Biznaga. I mean, if you look at last weekend, there's only one player who played like he has never played before, and he showed us things which he never showed. And I'm happy we signed him, and that's Lobete.
Yes, I will concur with you there, Chris. I was going to go with Julian Lobete as well. I think he had a very busy game. And I think, again, as I've mentioned before, that little link up with Ramon, excites me a little bit because I think he was always a good outlet for him, and the fact he was preying on the shoulder as that second striker was really, really good to see as well. So yeah, I'm going to go with Lebete too.
And what surprises, well, what we can see now very clear is how happy we are with Luis Me, but also we have seen what we miss when he's playing.
Yeah, and a leader at that as well, not just that sort of dogged terrier type midfielder who can, really cut the channels. He is someone who leads by example on the pitch, and I think he's going to be hard to replace in the second half of the season. Let's hope he's not out for too long. But yeah, that was our review of the Malaga's game against Racing Club de Santander. I suppose we best say our goodbyes, Chris. So I'll say thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have an amazing end to the week.
Thank you. The same for you. And I wanted to end the podcast from my end with the four lost former Malaga players who signed with another team.
Oh, I like this. I like this. Go on. Can we do some guessing?
So I think the most strange one, which we all didn't expect this transfer window. It wasn't yesterday. It was a bit earlier. Who do you think that was?
Oh, former Malaga player that we didn't expect. Now you'll have to let me know.
We didn't know he was still an active football player.
It's not Rocky Santa Cruz. He's not signed for somebody, has he?
No. It's Northern Amrabat to Hull City.
Yes. Oh, I should have known that. My friend Tom's a Hull City fan, and
that
you know what? He came on against Millwall in his debut, and someone from Millwall tweeted, "Hull have brought on a 38-year-old Moroccan man, and he's taking the piss out of us."
Yeah,
which is nice to hear. He's still got it.
I think the best one of them all is probably you've said it already. Is Ivan Jaime.
Yes, he's gone to Valencia, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one, but there's more. Another one we have named already is the Panther.
Yeah, Sekou Gassama.
Another signing. Let me take a look. Where is he? Juanpi.
He left Panathinaikos, didn't he, in the summer? Did he
Yes.
go to Mexico?
He is signed with Volos FC.
Oh God, I don't even know where to start with where they are.
They are from Caracas.
So they are in Mexico. No.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where Caracas is.
Me neither. And another one is, and the last one also signed a new club. That's Jairo Sampaio.
That's the club or the
you
player?
Remember Jairo?
I don't.
He played for Malaga.
The name sounds familiar, but I can't place him. Oh, is he he's the winger, isn't he? Yeah. He was
Remember him?
I remember him now, yeah.
Okay, and he signed with now everything. It's coming. He signed with a new club as well. He's going to Primera RFF.
Ah.
I can't see the team right now.
I saw the kit, so I'm going to guess that it will be.
It's a new team.
Oh, then I won't guess.
Well, here it is. He's signed with Sestao River.
Oh.
Sestao River.
Fair play to him. He wasn't prolific with Malaga. I think it was in the season that we kept us up, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
Wasn't it the season we relegated? No, it was the season before. Yeah.
Might be that one then. And for people who were on the edge of the seats as well, wondering where Caracas is, it's not in Mexico. It is actually the capital of Venezuela. So
that makes sense for a Venezuelan player.
Yes, exactly. So we've all learned something today as well, which is more important, which is a great way to end the podcast. So, yes, thank you so much, Chris, for your company this evening.
Thank
I've been
you.
your host, Nick Bell. Please go and like and subscribe to this podcast where you get your podcast from. 5-star review, because it always helps get the word of Malaga Club de Football out there. And also go and follow us on social media to keep up to date with all the latest coming straight out of La Rosaleda if you want to keep in touch. So I will say thank you to you guys listening at home. It's always a pleasure. Hasta luego and goodbye.